Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I want to talk Raiders Chargers. It was the most predictable, at least stylistically. It was the most predictable game. It was a rock fight. It was just physical, brutal, tough. I mean, it was not pretty. But my favorite part of this game is basically the same defense as last year. They were in the right spot. I mean, they had one kind of missed tackle on a play that ended up being a big play for the Raiders. But Justin Herbert goes 16 of 25 for 135 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. And I'm like, he's going to do that several times this year. And people are going to bang on Justin Herbert. I watched that game and I'm like, Harbaugh's looking at that talent. Pretty light at tight end and wide receiver. Not a lot of game breakers. Okay at running back. Better than average, maybe not great. Harbaugh looked at that game today and thought, and I think they're going to win this stylistically. This is how the Chargers will win. They'll ugly it up. Herbert won't make any mistakes. He'll make 4 to 5 big throws, no interceptions, make the right reads. It almost felt like Harbaugh, his first year at Michigan, taking over for Brady Hoke. He didn't have a lot of elite playmakers, but he won 10 games on just situational, field position, toughness. And then over the course of 2 or 3 years, he couldn't beat Ohio State. He was losing games you think they should win, but they didn't have NFL players. The Chargers, Bosa's great. Derwin James is fantastic. So was Herbert. Rashawn Slater's a good left tackle. And not a lot of guys everybody would vie for if they were on the market. I thought that game was exactly how you have to win if you're the Chargers with Harbaugh this year with that talent.
Yeah, I think if you remove the quarterbacks, they're the same team.
Yeah, that's right.
They're very similar. Herbert, I didn't even know his box score. I thought he made some big throws down the stretch.
He did.
He made some big throws down the stretch, and then I had the game on mute. Was it Dobbins busted the big run?
Yeah,
that is. Listen, their team is not going to be a sexy watch this year. And the Raiders, if they had Justin Herbert, would be the same thing. They'd have to win a lot of games, kind of like the Chiefs did last year. Mucky it up, ugly it up, and try to win 19-14, 19-17. And I think when you watch, let's look at that division, right? Like, I had either Denver or the Chargers making the playoffs. I kind of waffled back and forth. I think it is going to be difficult. Now, we'll have to see how the rest of the AFC plays out. It's obviously going to be hard for Denver with a rookie quarterback and playing on the road. The Raiders have no shot. Harbaugh does just because of his quarterback. I mean, the guy's talent. Some of these guys that hate on him, it's like, one, you are either just trying to be like counterculture and just sound different, or two, nobody in football because nobody thinks that. Right. I mean, just listen to the way Jim talks about him. I think over the next couple years, I mean, we saw how Jim has built at Michigan. They're going to be a serious problem as he teaches Justin Herbert how to win in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they got their talent deficient.
Yeah,
clearly on offense. And the one thing as the season goes, and this goes back to the rookie quarterbacks, these defensive coordinators, I mean, they work 18 hours a day. They're going to get 9 guys in the box, and Herbert's going to have to beat them with kind of random wide receivers. Right. If they had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in their prime, to me, they would be a lock playoff team. But they had to pivot off those guys because of the money. But Jim's a winner. So betting against Jim, to me, seems moronic. I mean, it's not going to work. Now, is he going to win 10 games this year? I don't know. But he's going to have a chance to go above 500, I bet, when the dust settles come December.
How about Antonio Pierce punting on a 4th and 1 late in the game? And I thought it was interesting because I thought, well, that's what defensive coaches do. By the way, even Mike McDonald, the new Seahawk coach, in a win, super conservative down the stretch. Denver had a chance to get the ball back and win the game. It was like defensive guys. Oh my God. I'm watching Antonio Pierce. I'm like, dude, you can't be conservative with that football team. The only way the Raiders can win 6 games is big swings because you just don't. And by the way, teams with weak quarterback play will get worse over the season because the defense will be on the field for more snaps. Defensive players get hurt more than offensive players statistically in the league. So a team like the Raiders, You get to like week 4 to 5 to 6 when the defense is literally on the field the whole game, you're going to be losing guys left and right. You got to take swings.
I think one of the elephant in the room in that game, and you saw him a couple times on the sideline, is Devontae Adams on that team makes no sense.
None.
And if people still think he can play, if you his value has diminished because as time goes on, you make a lot of money and you don't produce it the same way. You're just not worth as much. But if you can get rid of him at the trade deadline for a second and a third, like to me, it's probably time to pivot.
NFL Week 1 is here, and a new season means new ways to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. So fans have spoken. They want to bet on touchdowns. DraftKings heard us. They're delivering. DraftKings Sportsbook's the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like picking a player to score a touchdown. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? New DraftKings customers bet just $5 to get $250 in bonus bets instantly, plus 1 month of NFL Plus premium on us. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Real easy, 90 seconds. Use the code Colin. For new customers, will get you $250 in bonus bets betting just $5. And 1 month of NFL Plus premium on us. Offer ends September 19th. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
I get not trading Max Crosby because those guys are hard to find, but a wide receiver, a team with no quarterback, it also shows you that Gardner Minshew, like there's such a difference. Sam Darnold, everyone hated. And rightfully, I mean, he was bad in his spots,
Right.
But then look who believed in him. Kyle Shanahan signed him last March, and immediately Trey Lance was dead on arrival. His career ended the moment he signed. And then he spends a year, one thing he talked about is like, I saw Purdy work. Well, obviously Purdy's work ethic has to be elite for him to have success, right, with his physical tools. And he's like, God, it really opened my eyes. This is a 5th, 6th-year player saying he's watching a second-year guy. He's never been around that. And his physical attributes relative to Minshew, both those guys were the bridge quarterbacks this offseason. It's not even in the same ballpark. Minshew's a great story. He's a good backup. If you are forced to start him week 1, and now it feels like a couple teams have been forced to over the course of his career, you're just done. Like your season is over before it even begins. And Sam Darnold, like, is he going to sustain this all season? I don't know, but his physical attributes, and clearly people like the guy, he just needed to get around some real offensive coaches. Now we see back-to-back years, Kyle Shanahan, and then Kevin O'Connell, he gets a chance to play. I understand he's playing the Giants and they suck, but Colin, he looked pretty good today.
You know, I want to talk about the Broncos and Seahawks because, again, I thought Bo had his moments. I'm watching Seattle, and I say this respectively to Pete Carroll. I think Seattle has elite talent. I just don't think people know the players. But Walker, their wide receivers, they have tremendous young corners. They got a consistent pass rush. They got the Murphy kid in the draft, the top defensive tackle. Fant left today. Geno is what he is. Like, he's a great story. He is what he is. He's not going to lose you a lot of games. He's not going to win you a lot of games. But I'm watching that game today, and Sean Payton coached his ass off for a half. He got them. I mean, a lot of this was Seattle getting safeties, and it was quirky. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, by the second half, you're like, okay, now we're off script. And now Bo Nix is a rookie quarterback. And he just, that's the difference between a veteran Dak in the second half and Bo Nix in the second half. Bo's like, okay, now they adjusted. So I got everything on the script I figured out. Now it's all off script. And I'm watching that Seattle team, John. And I think you called them one of the surprise teams. I'll just say it right now. Maybe they're not Baltimore. I think they are really talented. They fly around the field defensively.
I actually was kind of on the other side, but their talent. My issue with them is they were poorly coached, but they've been winning 9 games. Yes. It's not like they've been winning 5.
And a good division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how do they go from, do you think they could win 11? I still think their offensive line has some question marks. They got the 2 safeties. They got punked. Geno has his limitations, but you're right. I mean, Kenneth Walker, there's a chance at the end of the year he's a top 5 running back.
Yeah.
How about the catch Lockett made to seal the game? He's their 3rd wide receiver.
And he's been there. Jesus, he's been great for 10 years.
He's got to be one of the more underappreciated players of his generation. Might not even be close. I think I could play for my team any day. Now, if their defense is better, they still might be a 9-ish win team, but could they beat the 49ers in a game? Because they haven't beat the 49ers in 5 games.
Not
They
with
played them 2
Geno.
years ago in the playoffs. Not would you? So if they can play at a more physical brand, my question marks. You never know with a coordinator going to a head coach. He's young. I think he's 37 years old. And their offensive coordinator, who we all loved in college, who was DeBoer's right hand, had never coached in the NFL. They showed his resume today. He was at Sioux Falls not that long ago. That's a pretty quick jump. Now, he clearly knows what he's doing, and so their coaching staff might just be better. I watched John Schneider's press conference at the end of training camp. You can tell he thinks they got something. Not he knows their team is talented, but like he thinks the coaching staff's pretty good. So like, can they beat McVay and Kyle? Can they split? Can they go 2-2? Because if they can, then maybe they're not 9-8, they're 10-7, and they're like the 6 or 7 seed. I would say that's possible. Not going to overreact to playing Denver, who it's just you could tell they're a little talent deficient still with the rookie
Right.
quarterback. But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. He's an easy guy to root for. Geno's an easy guy to root for. I just wonder in Sunday night, Monday night games, in Tom Brady calling it, if you're both 4-1 or however the schedule, and you're playing the Rams or you're playing the Niners, are you? I'm not picking Geno Smith, home or away.
Yeah. I will say this about Bo Nix, and I had talked about this because I saw him play live twice. He is much more mobile than people give him credit for. Way more mobile. He ran in for a touchdown today on a pump fake. He, he looks smallish. You don't think, 61 college starts. You don't see him as a great athlete. I thought today one of the interceptions was a great play, and I love the Seahawk corners. And again, they're all overwhelmed. They don't have a ton to work with. I don't know how good their offensive line is. I think Bo Nix is going to work. I don't think they won a ton of games, but when I watched him today, I never felt he was rattled. I thought he made 2 throws that were like rookie throws. In the second half, I'm like, oh, Jesus, Bo. But I kind of like bake that in. Like, I don't know. When I watched him today, I never felt he was, I kind of just, after watching Caleb, I'm like, Jesus, this is rough. I watched them and I was like, if you told me by Thanksgiving it all clicked, I'd be like, all right, I could see it.
Well, you know what? Where it set in with me is last night at 11 o'clock at night watching the Big Ten play. They had multiple Big Ten games going, Oregon and USC. Your Trojans look better in Oregon right now. That's just a
The
fact.
Oregon's a mess.
There's a drop off at quarterback. Dylan Gabriel has been a productive player, but there is a dramatic difference between Dylan Gabriel, who's probably not even a draft pick, and a guy that was just a top 15 pick, immediate starter week 1. Like, that's a pretty big deal, right? When you look at Oregon, I know they got their offensive line's a mess, but if your offensive line is a mess, and this goes back to Cleveland, if your quarterback can be mobile, you either got to do 2 things. What Peyton and Tom could do forever. They played with a lot of average offensive line. Get rid of the ball like that.
Yeah.
Or run around for your life. Lamar Jackson the other night. And you get caught like Deshaun Watson, you're kind of doing neither. Well, Bo Nix can scramble. Jaden Daniels can scramble.
Yeah.
So if your offensive line is going to suck and you're not going to pick you apart in the pocket really quick, you got to be able to move. And Bo's speed translates. Like physically to me, like talent-wise, everyone anoints Caleb as his all-time great talent. He's really talented. To me, like Josh Allen and John Elway are probably on their own little tier. But I think Bo Nix's physical attributes are like a plus characteristic.
Yeah.
Like they got that going. Now, he threw a pick in the red zone. Like it's hard. But yeah, I'm not out on him by any means. He's really grown on me. He's a guy that during the preseason, even today, like that's tough to go on the road against a defensive coordinator who's a head coach. They're flying around. You can't hear yourself think. Like it's a tough environment in those spots. Like this is back to Caleb and Bo. Their environments were completely different. One was home, one was like a catered dinner, and the other one was like make a 5-star meal. Here's mayonnaise and here's a piece of beef. You know,
Right.
like it's difficult.